Hey Emily, how are you doing, girl? So today is the 1st of February 2019, and it is I, your father, Miguel Angelo Trujillo, born May 27th, 1971. And that sounds like such a long time ago. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't that long ago. Take my word for it. It wasn't that long ago. But Dad, it was almost 50 years ago. Yeah, but still, it still wasn't that long ago. If I can span that time span, it wasn't that long ago. How you doing, girl? Boy, I tell you, it is blustery out today. In fact, it might be the case that you will hear the wind howling more than me howling in this microphone. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's been raining and cloudy lately, and the forecast is for it to be even more wet and rainy tonight and tomorrow. In fact, people in Santa Barbara have already gotten an emergency evacuation notice. They are fleeing from places near the mountains where debris slides and mudslides can be a problem. So thankfully, I don't happen to live at the base of any mountains, not like they do in Santa Barbara. So neither me nor you need to evacuate. So that's really good news. Yeah, the weather's been just really cold in the Northeast lately. Yeah, it's that polar vortex that has really been playing havoc on the weather, and people are very cold. Thankfully, it didn't get very cold today. Here in Lompoc, it was like 60 degrees is the high, maybe 61 degrees, and pretty reasonable. Hey, Google, what was the high today in temperature?
The temperature tonight in Lompoc is predicted to be 56 degrees Fahrenheit.
So even the low is predicted to be 56 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. That's not bad at all, so the temperature has been very temperate, but we have been getting some rain and wind. And I've been spending a little bit more time indoors the last couple days, and one of the things that I really like to do is cook, spend time in the kitchen. I think of spending time in the kitchen as being a very virtuous activity. There's always stuff going on in the kitchen, right? There's never an idle moment. And it's a place where you can unleash your creativity and cook all kinds of stuff, as well as clean. There's a lot of cleaning. There's a lot of doing dishes, and that's perfectly fine. There's always something to do in the kitchen, that's for sure. And in fact, I've been cooking a lot of interesting things lately, and maybe I'm willing to let you know about it. For example, I cooked some cupcakes. I think I might have talked about these cupcakes in previous video blogs, but I've been doing cupcakes lately. I did 3 batches of cupcakes last week, and one of those batches made their way to my workplace, where I offered cupcakes as gifts to all of my coworkers. Well, or some of my coworkers anyway, the ones who wanted to have the cupcakes. And in fact, even this morning, I did some cooking. I made pancakes this morning, and I had some pancakes with butter and Splenda, which is my sweetener of choice. And I also had cinnamon on my pancakes. So those pancakes were fantastic. Now that I think about it, I could very easily could have put some chocolate chips in my pancake batter. That could have easily happened. I might consider it next time. So yes, I made pancakes this morning. I also made something else. Well, what did I have with my pancakes? Oh, some shredded potatoes. I love hash browns. Hash browns are some of my favorite foods. Let me tell you, love that stuff. And instead of making hash browns myself from boiled potatoes, I actually purchase bags of frozen shredded potatoes, and then cook those in a pan. I just find it so much more convenient, and it's a convenience that matters. Quite often in the mornings when I'm wanting to prepare breakfast, I want hash browns. I really do. But just cooking hash browns takes a good 20 minutes, man. 50, at least 15 minutes to cook hash browns. They're relatively slow cooking, and that pan has got to be hot, and it takes time. So, and 15 minutes is about all the patience I've got when it comes to making hash browns. So, yeah, I get the frozen shredded potatoes to make my hash browns from. Let's see. What else have I been making lately? So after that, I made a batch of chocolate chip cookies. So I've got a batch of chocolate chip cookies pretty much in my fridge, hanging out, waiting to be eaten. I'm not sure how I'm going to get rid of them. You see, I bake so many sweet items, so many baked goods. I don't know what to do with it all. Maybe I can have one cookie a meal. So that's a total of 3 cookies per day. And, when I make a batch of cookies, that's a good 20, 25, 30, probably 30 cookies. And so, I mean, that's 10 days of eating cookies for every meal. I guess I could do that. I'm going to take off my sweater because it is getting warm in here. Woohoo! Maybe it's me being under the lights or me being in camera. I'm not sure what it is, but I was feeling a little warm there. So let's see. I made a batch of chocolate chip cookies, and later on tonight, I think I might make some angel food cake. Yes, angel food cake. In fact, I might go so far as to make angel food cake cupcakes. I know. I just bought some chocolate frosting. So I could have chocolate frosted angel food cupcakes, and maybe I could put some sprinkles on top. Yeah, that sounds like a project I'm willing to do. Now, how many cupcakes would I be willing to actually eat tonight? How about 0? How about 0? Maybe tomorrow I'll try to fit in a cupcake, right? That's the thing. I love cooking, and I enjoy cooking and assembling all the baked goods and working in the kitchen and being effective in the kitchen. But I just can't eat everything that I make. It's just impossible. And so really, I do have to find a way to offload these baked goods to other people. Do me a favor and take these baked goods, please. Take these chocolate chip cookies, these homemade chocolate chip cookies. I can't have them around. Actually, what's interesting is I do have the self-control, the self-discipline, the will not to eat the cookies. But they do get in the way because I have limited storage space. I just, and paying attention to them and as they hang out in my fridge is just not a favorite pastime of mine. I'd rather just get rid of it so that I can start drumming up plans for the next concoction, right? The next baking extravaganza. So that's pretty neat. There's also something else I've discovered in the kitchen, and that is I have become a little more versatile, a little more capable of making curried foods. I know. For a long time, curried foods was a mystery. I had the curry powder, but I didn't quite know what to do with it. And little by little, I'm discovering how to use curry in my rice dishes and in my pasta dishes. And slowly, carefully, I am preparing curry. And of course, I'm also using a lot of cayenne spice. In fact, I had to go to the grocery store today to pick up some cayenne because I tend to like the hot and spicy curries. So why? I don't know. There's just something about cayenne pepper and curry, man. Woof. That is a powerful combination. I find it stimulating, to say the least. My brow becomes sweaty. Yeah, that's some good stuff. So that's what I've been cooking lately, and I think I cooked something else too. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, things have been good in the kitchen. The kitchen has been taking care of me, and I've been taking care of it. So let's see. Oh, what else that's been going on is that I've been enjoying playing with my iPad Pro. Here's the Pro Pencil, and I've got my keyboard coming in the mail on the 7th of this month, which is like only 6 days from now. I think it's like next Thursday. So I'm excited about getting my Folio keyboard. I'm excited about really taking notes. Yeah, it's a good thing. I am looking forward to it. What I'm guessing, and this is the kind of inkling that I'm getting about what the future is going to be like, Emily, when you start going to college, or maybe when you start going to, actually, you're in high school now, so you need to take notes all the time. I think students are going to start using iPad Pros to take notes. They're going to start using tablet computers to take notes on a regular basis. And so just a heads up for you to start noticing a trend. I think tablet computers in the classroom is going to be a powerful trend. And so we'll see how it turns out. It might be a gift in the future that I might offer. Who knows? Who knows what mysteries lie in the future? So let's see what else is going on. I guess that's all. I've of course been going to my Allen Hancock College classes, both yoga and welding, and definitely learning experiences in both classes. And I am determined to face the facts and go to each class every week until the semester is over. I am absolutely determined to do that. And I went and bought some safety equipment for my welding class. So it is interesting. I've already had 2 classes. I can see how yoga is going to be a useful tool for me to learn and become more conscious of what my body can do. Actually, today I was a little bit surprised about what my body could do and how effectively it could do it. Our yoga instructor offered up some very interesting movement patterns, interesting poses I hadn't seen before, and or performed before, and my body did a pretty good job for doing it the first time. I was pretty surprised, really, and I learned something about my body, about what it could do. And it's really an interesting exploration. If you ever get a chance to do a few sessions of yoga, I would recommend it. Just because there's a lot of learning available there about how to use this instrument that we're all born with, our biological gifts or physical gifts. It sure is an interesting exploration. Who knew that bodies could do those things? Not me. I had no idea. So I figured what I might do now is move into that part of the video where I am talking about parts of books that I've highlighted. Recently, I've been going through Attitudes of Gratitude and Love by MJ, JM Ryan, JK Ryan, JK Ryan. And so I've been reading that book, and here's my smartphone. It's got my Kindle app on it, and I am ready to talk about this book. The book is MJ Ryan's Attitudes of Gratitude and Love. And on page 36, I highlighted this passage. The passage reads, Reality is often profoundly created through our anticipatory images, values, plans, intentions, beliefs, and the like. Now, this is an incredibly erudite understanding of what our life is and what reality is. But let me repeat it again. Reality is often profoundly created through our anticipatory images, values, plans, intentions, beliefs, and the like. This is really true. We really do create our realities in a very real sense, very practical sense. Sometimes our mind finds what it seeks. I know sometimes when I'm around other people, even the words that I use, even how I use them, influence the responses I get from my audience. And those words might draw us all down a certain path of discovery. And the choices of those initial words is critical in determining, say, the end result of any situation. In fact, I often think of myself as training other people how to be around me. Even I'm always signaling, hey, treat me this way, view me this way, talk to me this way. And I'm doing this signaling rather unconsciously when I'm around other people. The clothes that I wear, this is a collared shirt with long sleeve with the cuffs drawn up. That all has meaning about who I am. I'm a man, right? I'm semi-formal, right? But there's a part of me that's relaxed. And so I'm speaking English in this dialect, in this style, with this tone. That 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 means I'm rather analytical and intelligent, and I want you to view me that way, right? I'm signaling all these things. My hair, it's a masculine hairstyle. It's short, but it's not too short. It's a little bit long. It's a little tousled. That tousled indicates some wildness and power, right? That must equal a little bit of self-confidence and freedom, So I'm always signaling these things. Everything from my hairstyle to my clothing style to the words that I use and the tone that I use, that signals to other people how to treat me, right? And it signals to others how I want to be treated. This is how I respond to you, right? Even before we meet, or just when they glance at me, I'm already signaling this information. I would signal different things if I wore different clothes, if I used different words, and people would basically respond to me in ways totally different. At least that would be a possibility. If I dressed in a disheveled way and maybe I didn't shave, or maybe I was bald or something like that, that would signal something else, so another person might ignore me totally because of my signals, which might be transmitted largely unconsciously. And it goes beyond that. It's also about words too. The words that I choose, I'm signaling. These are the ideas that are important to me. These are the things that matter to me. And really, I'm creating my social situation even before I walk into it. Yeah. And so I'm also creating my own reality as a result. The words I use them and how I use them, they are cues about how other people should treat me, what words and what narratives get triggered in them. And it's just pretty phenomenal how we create our own reality. It's also created through our anticipatory images, our intentions, our beliefs, and the like. So, a long time ago, I used to have a problem with anxiety. I don't anymore, but I did in the past. And so I'd focus on things that are fearful, right? Risky. Um, and that created a reality for me. That's all I saw. I saw risk all around me. And my mind and my beliefs, which were exaggerated. And there was a lot of black and white thinking and a lot of mind reading and overgeneralization. I mean, there was a lot of thinking errors, a lot of sloppy thinking that I committed, and I created my own reality, man. Every second of it was just my own invention. It didn't have to be that way. I could have made other choices. I could have signaled others in different ways. Um, and, I just didn't have the self control and the self discipline and the focus that I have today. Yeah. So thankfully, I can sidetrack a lot of that reality creation that doesn't work for me now. But yeah, it's really quite amazing how we create our own reality based on where we're focusing in the moment. Sometimes I read like a book about astronomy, right? I don't know. I'm just pulling that subject out of the air. And so with astronomy on my mind, I might talk to people and refer to things like constellations and stars and space in my conversation. That would trigger in them to continue the conversation about stars and space. And who knows, before long, we might just think about stars and space all the time. And our conversations will weave towards astronomy. In a way, I created that situation. And, that's why narrative is so important. It's not only important because, it sort of defines your reality, but it also creates any new reality you have with anyone else. So I'm definitely a believer in the sense that we create our reality, and ultimately we're responsible for our own emotions, right? I mean, if we create our own reality and, and we react to that reality on emotional and intellectual levels, even those reactions are our own creation. They are the result of beliefs that we have. Um, you know, that's because our world or our external reality has meaning, right? And that meaning is something that we invented. And we might have learned it from our parents or from television or from movies, but we maintain this narrative. We use words because they're available to us. And, our world it just unfolds as we make decisions, as we decide to do it. So anyway, my point though is that I guess my point is that we create our own realities, and my point was that we also create our own emotions. Our emotions are based on beliefs and understandings that we hold at the time. We'd have different beliefs if we'd have different emotions if we had different beliefs or understandings. So really all of our emotions all the time are of our own creation. And it might not quite be that way. Sometimes, like, let's say I step into a movie theater and it's a horror movie. I might get scared because I'm triggered by the movie. But the movie itself uses cultural themes uh, that somehow I was drawn to go see the movie in the first place. I put myself in the position or I'd respond in a fearful way to these cultural conventions that the director and writers are presenting on the screen. You know, in a way, we've all been sort of conditioned to think that certain things are scary, like spiders, for example. Now, I myself am not afraid of spiders, but I recognize that other people are, and that, generally people have been trained, you know, who knows for how long this training has been going and in what ways, but essentially they've been conditioned to think of spiders as being scary. And I don't know, it's all about conditioning. We're definitely conditioned by our cultural environment. And we're reflections of that environment. And in a way, we're generating it. We're continuing in those belief systems, right? By choice, quite often by choice. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. Why don't we? Let's see. So the next point, the next idea that I highlighted was that, golly. Oh, here we go. The next point is on page 38, where I highlighted the passage. What this means is that the more we focus on the good, the more we create the possibility that our relationship will get better and better. So that is definitely true. The more we focus on the good, the more, at least there's the possibility that our relationships will get better and better. Yeah. So, but it starts with sort of this positive intention first, right? If you want a relationship to get better, it's important to sort of wish it into existence first, right? And then you often have to act, take physical action. There's like the intent, and all of this is prior to having a good relationship. Prior to even communicating once with your special partner, it's really important that you create the intention to be loving and generous and kind. That's what good relationships are built upon, right? They're built upon that kindness, and there are prior steps, right? Prior decisions. Anyway, that's pretty interesting, I guess. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to just going on to the question and answer period. Now, let's see. I think this is a question that I failed to answer last time around. Question number 224, which of the 5 senses do you treasure most and why? Well, for me, I treasure my vision the most. My vision is critical to me going to work, right? I do a lot of reading. My vision is so important to me. Just getting along in the world, getting groceries involves me driving, and I need to see the road, right? I need my eyes to do that. I need fully functioning eyeballs. Also, I get a lot of very pleasant visual stimulation. Having my eyes and being able to see beautiful sunsets and sunrises, that's an important part of what makes me happy. So definitely, I could say, without a doubt, the number one sense, physical sense that is important to me right now is my vision. I guess that the second most important sense either might be my sense of feeling or my sense of hearing. And it might very well be my sense of hearing. Although, let me tell you something. it is profound just how much feedback I'm getting from, say, even like touching my hand. I just take it for granted because it's so continual, right? Because I've just had my body for so many years and I've been in it. It's easy to ignore. Yoga is an interesting practice that helps me become more conscious of my body. Despite the fact that I live in my body 24/7, I'm not the most conscious of things going on in my body. Now, I might be more conscious than other people. I have a sense that I am more, but I don't know. Touch is just so essential. Like me sitting on my couch right now, or even let's say the position of my fingers between my hands, between the palms of my hands. That touch feedback is pretty critical. I don't know, but here's the thing about touch feedback is that it's really easy to ignore. So, it might very well be that touch is my second favorite sense, but I'm going to say instead hearing. Hearing is so critical to my lifestyle. For me, I'm all about conversations and hearing other people and what they're saying. Their tone of voice is important to me. Sound is really important. I love music. I love movies and listening to the scores of those movies. I really enjoy my sense of hearing, and I'm so pleased that I haven't lost it or anything like that. There are a lot of people walking around who have lost their senses of hearing, and it's tragic. I have a friend. His sense of hearing has really deteriorated. He really can't hold a conversation anymore. A bright guy, super bright guy. In fact, he used to be a medical doctor. So I can just imagine coming from that position of just being, social and intelligent. And then when you lose your hearing, you lose your sociability. You begin avoiding people more. You're talking less. And, you may even come off as unintelligent. And I mean, I can just imagine how much of a struggle it is to be without hearing. But I could do without hearing. It's entirely possible for me to live a happy life without hearing. I'm just so glad that I don't have to try. All right, so I guess those are my two favorite senses, seeing and hearing, and then of course touch. I think a lot of people underestimate just how important touch is. There's a sense, there's something called disembodiment, which some people have mental illnesses where they feel disembodied a lot of the time. And I can't imagine how that would just be amazing to me. I mean, I don't know what it would even feel like to be that disconnected from my body. So hopefully that never happens to me. Let's see. What is the next question on the question and answer period here? So that's question number 225. When do you find yourself in an argument, or when you find yourself in an argument, do you prefer to leave and resolve it later, or stay and settle it right away, and why? Well, if I had a choice, I would definitely want to leave. But sometimes it doesn't always make sense to leave a heated conversation. And there are a lot of reasons why for that. But I guess I'm the one who would like to leave and try another day. There's always tomorrow. And here's the thing. Perspectives change on a daily basis. Perspectives change on an hourly basis, and maybe even on a 15-minute or even 1-minute basis. I can shift from perspective to perspective in my mind. And, I'm sure other people can too. So anyway, I often also think it's not possible to settle all arguments. I know that some people have this sense that, if you just put two people in a conference room and lock them in there, eventually they'll come to an agreement. And maybe they will, but I don't know. Sometimes they can't be settled, and I'm willing to walk away from a conversation. The reason is there are lots of good reasons to walk away in a conversation. A lot of the time, conversations don't get anywhere. But if you hold off for 5, 10 minutes, an hour, a day, a couple days, maybe a week, or even a month, it's really profound about how readily an answer can happen or can be crafted by two opponents. Yeah. All right. So let's see what is the next question. Question number 226. What's one thing you would rather pay someone to do than do yourself, and why? Well, gosh, there are a lot of activities that I'd rather pay another person to do instead of me doing it. I mean, one of the first things that come to mind are, say, an oil change for my car. I could definitely pull out the oil filter, pull out the air filter, and replace it and add oil. I could do all that myself, but why? Oil changes, they're so inexpensive, $20, $25. It just makes sense to have someone else do that work. Even if I could do it, who wants to get dirty? And really, who has access to a hydraulic lift? Thankfully, I don't have to change. Excuse me. Thankfully, I don't have to change my own oil or my own tires. Even though I could change my own oil and tires. I'm pretty confident that I could do it, but it would just take me a lot of time. I just don't have that much time. I'm a busy man. I got stuff to do. All right. So what else is going on in my life? I don't know. Let's read the next question. Question number 227. What's one book you recommend and why? Golly, what's one book I recommend? I don't know. How about Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone by J.K. Rowling? I'd be happy to recommend that book to anyone. It's very interesting. And I think a lot of people would get a kick out of it. I've actually tried to read the Twilight series, and I just can't make it past the first book. The writing is just not up my alley. It's just not my style. And so I'm not necessarily drawn into the book or inclined to read it any further. So other examples of what books I would recommend. Well, there's this book that I've been considering buying you, Emily, called The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. I think that was one of his finest books. He's also had other very fine books, The Psychology of Self-Esteem. I read that a lot when I was, that book series a lot about self-esteem from Branden when I was in high school and in college. And I think it really served me well. One thing that is true for me, though, is when it comes to self-esteem, experience, becoming older. Every year you are on this planet, you become a little bit more confident. I think you also esteem yourself and your needs more as you grow older. And self-esteem is easy as an older person. Self-esteem is hard as a younger person. You don't quite know yourself. You don't know your place in the group quite often. And even if you do, you don't have a lot of experience to sort of apply to your external situation. So, yeah. I don't know. Really what I recommend is not just one book, but I recommend that people do as much reading as they can. And I also recommend that people choose books that they're passionate about, that they really want to read. And as soon as that book starts getting dull or boring, I think it's critically important for you to toss that book aside and find another subject that you find compelling. There's so many books in the world. It really is critical that you enjoy the books that you're reading right now. First, because, well, that enjoyment will add to the motivation to finish the book, and you'll read more and more things more often. Yeah. I kind of feel like my brain is a little tired right now. Isn't that interesting? All right, so let's move on to the next question. Question number 228. What annoys you most about women? What annoys me most about women? That's an interesting question. What annoys me most about women? What annoys me most about women? Well, here's the thing. Women and men grow up in society conditioned by our environment. So, in a very real way, both men and women don't have any control over how they act and react to one another and their environment. We are indoctrinated as children into what it is to be a man or a woman. And this learning that takes place is learning that's been developed and formulated over hundreds of years, thousands of years, millions of years. This cultural information. And you know what? That stuff has been development for a long, long time, has been in development. And, when we learn about it and accept it, often because of repetition, the fact is a lot of it is arbitrary. And it's almost a little bit laughable, I think, about the roles of men and women and how arbitrary they are, and how, women are stereotyped in sort of performing these actions or behaviors, and men have also different stereotypes about their behavior. I guess, so what I'm basically saying is women are just what they are, and they come from a long line of other women. So I'm taking a more of a philosophical tack to answer that question. But you know what? I can not do that. I don't know. I'm reluctant to talk about what annoys me the most about women. I think I'll just throw a few things out there. No, it won't. We need a Me Too movement for men. Yeah. Maybe one of these days men will speak out, they'll speak on their minds about gender inequality. Maybe sometime in the future. Okay, next question. Question number 229. What annoys you most about men? Oh, that question is not any better. What annoys me most about men? Here's the thing. Men are just so different. I don't know. What annoys me about men? Well, one thing that I'm somewhat annoyed by, though I think it's completely understandable, is that how aloof most men are to other men. I get it though. Here's the thing about being a man. Um, Being a man is hard work, and um, and you know, men as men in our society have, we're focused on women and our own well-being, and it's not altogether convenient for men to develop friendships with other men, strong ones necessarily. And I'm describing this issue with a very broad brush. Um, I wish men were had a little bit more camaraderie with other men. That would be nice to see. So I guess that is at least a partial answer. I wish men were a little bit more free with other men. I mean, we are actually, but we could loosen up a little bit. Okay, next question. Question number 230. What do you like most about women? What do I like most about women? Well, I like women who are happy and kind. And what do I like most about women? I like how they can access their kindness and gentleness a little bit easier than men in general. That's not true for all women, that's for sure. But what do I like about most women? What I like is, and it just might just be a quirk of evolution, but when I look around, there's so many attractive women. It's just pretty amazing, really. Whereas when I look around at men, I'm not quite sure what women see in them. Half the time. It's kind of interesting. I'm sure that has more to do with biology than it has to do with psychology. Okay. So what's the next question? What do I like most about men? Well, oh my gosh. By the way, I love men. I think men are amazing. I love how brave and strong and virtuous men are. We have got it going on in the courageous and value-centric area. Here's another thing I like about men. I was mentioning how, at least in the past, that friendships are a little weak and we need a little bit more camaraderie among men. But that's also one of the best things about being a man, is that there just happens to be, and I'm not sure why this is, but there is like this tribal man advocacy group. There's this, it's a deep philosophical bond that I have with other men. It's largely unstated. This is one of the things I love about being a man, is that I just know that I can work shoulder to shoulder with any man to do a task. And that I can work in a way that offers us both mutual respect and honor. And that's a powerful, deep, I think it's a very, very awesome aspect of what it is to be a man, and that it's assumed. There's this brotherhood among men, which is powerful and unstated. And I'm not sure how it originated, but if I feel any connection with my other brotherly men here on this planet, the connection I have is that we have an unstated bond that is powerful and deep, and a mutual respect, an unstated, it doesn't even have to be stated. Anyway, that's my sense. I think that's what I love most about men, is that we are of all the same tribe. And at least that's my sense, that I could take any man anywhere around the world and partner with that man at some task and be proud of however it ends up, and be honored by their actions. Yeah. I don't know. It's really deep. I think it might even be primitive in the sense of generational. I have this sense there's just something about, it's just a deep, purposeful sharing that men have. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's an honoring. It's a focused honoring. And it's just a profound bond that I don't have with women. Now I've got some kind of bond related to being a human or whatever with women, but with men, it's definitely more deep and real. Yeah, and I really appreciate that about being a man. Okay, so question number 232. What is your favorite genre of literature? Oh, wow. So I think I might have mentioned this in the past too, but my favorite types of literature are psychology, self-help. That's definitely number one. And philosophy and science. And, I'm liking natural history, things like that. That's interesting, really interesting to me. And then I guess, and then I would go with the classics. Believe it or not, I kind of enjoy reading the classics. I wish I could spend more time reading the classics like Dickens or Orwell or H.G. Wells, or, just the classics, right? Shakespeare, even. Although not Shakespeare. Now that I think about it, Shakespeare is just too hard for me to read. I don't quite get as much out of it as I'd like to. But give me any other writer of antiquity, and I'd be happy to read what they have to write. Okay. What's the next question? Question number 233. What is your preferred method of getting the news? So recently, my preferred method of getting the news is just through the internet. I use Bing.com, their news site, and I tend to read that pretty often. And so it's internet news. Sometimes I also get my news through YouTube.com, and I watch videos like C-SPAN or CNN or ABC or CBS. They might have episodes that they stream online, but mostly it's through the web. Occasionally, I do like to buy a newspaper, and I will, and I'll read that newspaper. And sometimes I even buy, say, a Kindle version of the newspaper, and that has worked in the past. Here's the thing about news, though. There is just so much of it. It's just, I could spend every living, breathing moment of my life reading news. And I find news interesting. I find it really interesting. But I just don't have the time or energy. I got to focus on other stuff, man. I got a life to live. And I can't spend all my time analyzing current events. I mean, it would be great if I could, but I just don't have the time. I do find it fascinating. In fact, I would guess that for me, news is a genre of literature that I really enjoy watching and paying attention to. Yeah. Well, Emily, I'm going to wrap this video presentation up. I want to thank you for bearing with me while I've sort of spoken for a while. Thank you for tracking me along this idea that I had about starting a book club with you, and reading this book series by MJ Ryan about gratitude. And I hope I'm curious about whether you think these books are interesting to you. If it's a subject that doesn't quite inspire you, I'd be happy to move along to another subject. I'm happy to share these ideas with you and sort of share a part of myself so that you get to know me better. And I'm kind of intrigued about how you react to some of the information that you're hearing me talk about. One thing that is interesting me lately is whether you have an interest in social justice. And what I mean by social justice issues are issues like climate change and equal rights and immigration, or maybe you have a political interest in a political ideology like social democrat ideology, or maybe you have an interest in, say, laissez-faire capitalism, or maybe you have an interest in climate change. I wonder if you have any kind of social justice interests that we could talk about. I would be open to doing that. I know that when I was a kid, I never really did get strongly focused on any social justice subjects. But I know that kids your age, 14, 15, 16 years old, sometimes they pick up on some of the things that's happening in the news, and they want to talk about them, right? They want to talk about what's going on in the world of politics, or in the world of international relations, or in the world of economics, or computers, or technology. I'd be interested in, if you were interested in any kind of social justice issue, I would definitely be interested in talking about that for a while. And I could share with you my interests as well. I think that could be a really great topic that we could share on, and try to talk about and understand each other using. I think it'd be worth it. So, Emily, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's already Friday night, and I don't think I was originally planning to go to Six Flags this weekend, but Six Flags Magic Mountain. But with all this talk about rain happening this weekend, I don't think I'm going to go. I got better things to do than drive in the rain for hours and hours and driving at night. And it's just safer to stay at home this weekend, I think. When the rainy season ends, then I'll be more apt to head out to Magic Mountain or Los Angeles and play a little bit outside. But I mean, if you could listen to what's going on outside, all that wind, it's kind of hazardous to drive in that, and all the rain, all the slick roads. It's definitely better to stay in. So I hope you're keeping yourself warm. And if you have an interest in going to get an ice cream, or a cup of coffee, or a cup of hot chocolate, or a taco, or a burrito, or going to see a movie or anything like that, I would totally be up for it. And so anyway, again, I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow, and a wonderful night, and a restful weekend, and take care. I love you. Peace.